Hey everybody, it's Greg Flyshaker, Greg Fly to my friends, and today I am making a chili con carne. I am skipping the beans because I'm not a huge bean fan, but obviously you could throw beans in here if you like. As always, starting with nothing prepared, nothing on the counter, so you get an idea of how long this actually takes from beginning to end. So the first thing I do is get a few spices together, my chili powders, and put a little, make them into a paste. Put a little water in there, make into a paste, set that aside, and then that is about 4 pounds of chuck, boneless, already cut up a little bit at the grocery store, but they cut them in such huge chunks. So I'm going to go through the entire bag of beef chuck there, cut it down into bite size, like normal people bite size pieces, cut off some of the gristle, some of the extra fat. And I got a pretty clean, relatively speaking, bowl of chuck meat there in bite size chunks. Clean up as I go, keep my hands nice and clean. I got my big Dutch oven in the back there, just turn the heat on a little bit and starting to get some of the vegetables out. So I like to throw a lot of vegetables in here, so it's not a vegetable soup, but maybe something approaching a vegetable heavy chili. And there we go. So the pot was pretty warm, a little olive oil in the bottom just to coat the bottom. And I throw all the meat in at once. I know a lot of people say you should do it in batches, but I find that takes, for me, the way I like to cook, it takes way longer and I can't tell the difference at the end of the day. So while the meat is browning, and I'll just have to stir it every now and then because I'm not doing it in batches and it is going to sweat and get pretty watery, I suppose, but it's fine. The water will boil off, so no big deal. I'm going to take all this time to cut my veggies up. Onions always go first because onions are going to be the first vegetable into the pot, so I just want to make sure I get those chopped up first, and then after that, this is a pretty lazy recipe for me. So I am a slow cook in the kitchen, like to take my time. This will take me about an hour, give or take, from beginning to end before it starts to simmer on the stove. So I sort of putz around in the kitchen, stir the beef around, cut my vegetables, clean up as I go, throw stuff away. All right, so I cut up about 4 or 5 carrots, I think, maybe six. We like carrots in our chili. That was a red bell pepper. I've got a couple jalapeños here. I'm going to clean those out. Obviously, if you want a little spicier, you can keep the pith or the white part, the membrane. I don't know if that's pith or not, and keep more seeds. I get it pretty clean. It still has a nice little kick to it, and I'll share all the spices and the herbs that I put in that little paste that I'll pour over the beef in not too long here. So chopping up the jalapenos, I cut these into pretty small pieces, smaller than the onion, smaller than the bell pepper or carrots. Everything's a pretty rough chop. I do not have the finest knife skills, but that's what I'm talking about. When you're cooking the beef, it's going to get a little watery if you do it all at once. I don't care. It works out. That water's going to evaporate. It's going to get nice and browned up. And now I'm moving on to the garlic. And again, it doesn't really matter what order you do this in as long as it's all ready by the time you need it. I'm a little weird. I don't know why I do it. I like to cut the ends off the garlic before I press it. It'll press just fine, I'm sure, without doing that, but I do it. And then I throw a couple of poblano peppers in there. Again, you can add whatever vegetables or whatever peppers you want. It's just going to cook for several hours, but I figure a little variety is nice both for heat and flavor, but also nutrients. And you can see that water is going away, right? It's getting nice. It's getting brown. We're getting some nice stuff on the bottom there, some nice fond, slotted spoon. And I'm going to take all the beef out. And now we're going to start working on the vegetables and developing the flavor with the spice paste. So this is why the onions were done first. Right into that oil. I don't need to add any more. Stir it. And now everything comes together pretty quickly. So that was the garlic and the jalapeno that I just threw in. Stir it. I want to start smelling that a little bit before I take the next step, which is the chili paste that we made has been sitting by the side for a little bit. Make sure you get all that, scrape it all in, stir it again. It's going to coat the bottom and let it get kind of aromatic before you pour that tomato paste in or the crushed tomatoes. Let it come back to a boil. And now you're just going to add some chicken stock. I like to use homemade when I have it. I don't always have it, so I have to use store-bought sometimes. And then, again, stir it up, throw all the vegetables in. I always like to clean up as I go, especially with this kind of recipe. And then by the time dinner time rolls around, you just have the big pot on the stove and all the dishes are done. So now everything's together. It just looks like watery soup. I mean, it's got a nice color to it, but the magic really happens if we let it sit on the oven, on the stove for a couple hours. So I give myself about an hour to get it all together, 3 hours to simmer, not a boil, but a low simmer. And I've just put a couple tablespoons of flour into a cup of chicken stock, and I pour it right through a sieve so I catch any clumps of flour, and then let it simmer for another half hour. I could let it simmer 2.5 hours and then half hour with the flour in it, but I like to give it a half hour with that flour. Again, low simmer. It'll make it nice and thick, give it a nice sheen. I like to serve my chili over rice with sour cream, avocado, and cheddar cheese. You serve it up however you want to, but I think everyone in my family, not my dog, I don't think actually my daughter really likes this. So I'll say my wife and my son and I really like this chili. And we all serve it up differently when it comes time. But there you go. Fresh homemade chili con carne.